Good morning and thank you for being with us here today. It's a pleasure to welcome all of you to our CXO Connect entitled Leading with the Creativity, How Executive Leadership Drives Innovation and Impact. CXO Connect is an important platform where academic insight meets industry expertise. At Ajman University, we believe that meaningful collaboration between industry and academia is essential for driving innovation, shaping future-ready talent, and addressing real-time challenges in this world. This roundtable is not just a discussion, it's a catalyst that will open collaborations between both sectors, universities and business world. Just to give you a background about this initiative is part of our university leadership broader vision to try to position Ajman University as a hub where knowledge meets impact. By creating spaces like this, our university aims to bridge the gap between theory and practice, ensuring that what we teach, what we research, remains relevant, responsive, and transformative. By aligning academic with industry needs, we drive innovation, promote sustainability, and prepare talent to tackle real-world challenges, supporting the United Arab Emirates' vision for knowledge-based, future-ready economy. These conversations pave the way for shared progress and lasting impact. Without further ado, let me go ahead and introduce our esteemed panelists today. Just alphabetic order based on the last name. Mr. Sajith Ansar, CEO and founder of Idea Spice. And I told him after I introduced the panelists, I would love to know where the name came from. It's just catchy. It's a leading global branding and design firm headquartered in Dubai with over 1,400 brands created worldwide over the past 18 years. Idea Spice specializes in building and scaling homegrown business through innovative design and strategic thinking. Now, what I like about Mr. Sajith, that he is like pioneer in connecting universities with academia. So he is also a learner, a lecturer, as well as entrepreneur. So he's been regularly giving lectures at universities and conducting workshops for startups. He also leads Next Level Entrepreneurs. This is a transformative leadership program that he designed to help business leads and grow. He's been recognized by Forbes as one of the top 100 Indian business leaders in the Arab world for 3 consecutive years. What an achievement. Our second panelist is Mr. Jatin Kalra, Vice President at Apparel Group. And from the name, you can tell, it's a leading global fashion and lifestyle retail headquartered in Dubai, with over 25 years of experience in retail and business transformation. Mr. Jatin has played a pivotal role in expanding Apparel Group presence across the Middle East, Asia, and beyond. He currently oversees a diverse portfolio of brands, including Levi's, The Children's Place, and Ardeen. We need to connect. Under his leadership, Apparel Group landed over 100 new stores in the first half of 2024 alone. So this is amazing. Mr. Jatin is also known for fostering a vibrant workplace culture. You're going to love what I'm going to tell you about him. He has some initiatives at work to keep global engagement and have a nice, vibrant environment at work. He created Apparel Got Talent event, where this creates creativity and employee engagement. So we should be invited to those events. Thank you. And our third panelist, Mr. Christoph Koster, CEO of Ruya Bank, is UAE first digital, first Islamic community bank. And just to let you know, it's a pride because Ruya Bank headquartered in Ajman, and it's the first to create the digital first Islamic community banking as well as the digital currency. So those interested can follow up after the talk. With a career spanning banking, investment, and technology, Mr. Chris has built financial platform of governments, banks, and startups. At Ruya, he's leading the change in sustainable Islamic banking with a strong focus on community impact. Before that, some good achievements to share for Mr. Chris. He served as the Chief Operational Officer of the G42 joint venture, which was known as AIQ. And it was established to develop and commercialize AI products for the oil and gas industry. Mr. Chris led award-winning teams in Emirates NBD. What an achievement. His early career included roles in strategy, counseling, and corporate developments, laying a strong foundation for his leadership today. Join me in welcoming our panelists with a large applause. And before we go to the questions, I'm going to go back to Mr. Sajith just to figure out where the name Idea Spice came from.
When we were launching Idea Spice, the positioning we wanted was not to be like a typical boutique design agency. We actually wanted to bring in strategy, help local companies to compete with multinationals, which meant creativity with strategy, left side of the brain, right side of the brain. So we want idea and spice. So that's how the name came up, that it's ideas which are strategy led but quirky with an innovation.
Interesting. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Now, let's start with the questions, and we'll go with Dr. Sajith again. And this is a question for everybody, so we can just hear answers from all. In today's rapid evolving business landscape, how can moderators, executive cultivates a culture of innovation within their organization to stay ahead of the competition?
So I think there are multiple things for that answer. And I think in today's world, it's a lot more relevant because things are moving at a very, very fast pace. So if you don't keep up, you get left behind. One, of course, is a lot of companies have a very, very strict top-down, where they don't listen. There's a big gap from vision to management. One, building a strong culture of delegation. And there are a lot of these interesting aspects of having these morning huddles, bringing in the concept that the Japanese use called Kaizen, which is never-ending and continuous improvement, where every week at least you meet up and you get everybody's opinion on what the company can do. So comfort zone is, I guess, a place where most companies start to fade and die.
Sure.
To make sure the culture doesn't have stagnation, it's open to ideas. And other things I feel companies do, and again relevant back to university and things, bringing in interns always, is to get in new minds who question things without having any background. So I think that intern culture, and to say, look, you're not just interns for the sake of it. Your job is to ask us very obvious questions which we take for granted.
Beautiful. So straight communication to cultivate the culture of communication. Mr. Jatin.
So I believe culture starts at top. And it is also said culture eats strategy for breakfast. So while you are creating that culture and you're open for strategy, you should also give the room for failures. Because half of us or half the ideas just get dropped down that if I don't succeed, what will happen then to me in an organization? So when I say culture, it's a very, very strong word, whether it's a organization or it's a country or it's house, whatever we call it as, where a group of people are together. It's a setup of a strong foundation where people should know they are being respected, they are being loved, and they wanted to do something new without getting judged. So that is what we want to add on in today's world, because today's world is very fast moving world. And risk-taking appetite is one which will keep you ahead of the edge. While it comes risk, it also comes failures. So how failure born you are and how you can digest it depends on culture and how you can develop the AI towards it. That's
True.
what I believe.
That's true. Mr. Chris?
For a bank, risk and failure are two words that nobody likes to hear, especially not our head of risk or the regulators, right? So for us, it is a balancing act to drive a culture of innovation. And where does innovation come from? Innovation comes from scarcity, right? Innovations throughout the history of time and mankind have only happened when people had to innovate out of a need of scarcity, or otherwise, if you had horses that run faster and can carry more loads, you wouldn't have invented cars. So the challenge for us is to set up that psychological safety net that you described.
Them, talk to them, wish to them, and understand their requirements or their pain areas. So that is how deeply we go in defining those culture and strategy of innovation, considering our business as usual, which is to the normal, which has to continue.
Thank you. Now, within your own business, because it's more like, expanded, like,
Yes.
You have so multi-units, would the, like, work with the structured business model balancing with creativity work at the same level with all units? Or you'll have certain emphasis in certain units that those units should be the one where we allow more of, not focus about the structured business model. Let them go ahead and do more of innovation, or is it the same across all units?
See, I believe today's world, agility and flexibility are the two, base norms of any business. So you can't be rigid about how you want to approach. It's all about changing times and needs. It's all about how do you, like I said, how do you want to exceed expectations every day
Sure.
for a customer, and that goes with the Apparel Group tagline also.
Sure.
That where we want to work towards it. So it's not a rigid platform where we describe it, on the book. It's all about open mind, bringing on new technology, bringing on new thoughts, what you can do, and kind of innovation, technology, AI, AR, VR. In today's world, even our internship grad comes and advises that this is how I feel you should be working for the new generation. So we work accordingly, and we, because if you like the brand which you name, like Tommy, Levi's, Calvin, those are all the young consumers fashion brand, and we have to be relevant. So it does not apply one paintbrush approach. It depends on what is the requirement of a business and how well we can give our best to the consumers. So we follow that practice. Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you. Chris?
I'll keep a slightly shorter answer to that. Who here has ever called a bank or other customer service and was told, "I will send it to the concerned department"? If anybody at Ruya ever says concerned department, they're immediately fired. Yeah, ownership is the one thing that drives creative problem solving and creativity. Yeah, if people are forced to deal with problems themselves and own it end to end, that's when you see innovation happening. That's when you break down barriers and someone just goes to the other person and says, "I need this and I need it now." That's how, at least how we do it.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. So, with the increasing emphasis nowadays on sustainability and environmental, social, governance goals, how can organization leverage creative solutions to align with profitability, align profitability with positive social impact?
So
We'll go from
we've just because it's very relevant to us at the moment, and actually tonight we're going to receive an award as the best CSR initiative across the MENA banking
that is
space.
wonderful.
We don't have it yet. We're going to receive it tonight.
But you get the news about it.
How's it innovative? So what we've done is one of the core values of the Islamic economy and Islamic finance is social responsibility. And with that comes environmental responsibility. So we've teamed up with a company called Sacred Groves. What they do is they buy existing primary plots of forest, tokenize it, put it on a blockchain, and then basically lease it out for people to preserve, right? Because they believe that conserving primary forests is a lot more impactful than, for instance, reforesting barren landscapes. So we've teamed up with them, and what we've done is for every 1,000 dirhams our customers keep in their account with us, we will conserve 1 square foot of primary forest in partnership with Sacred Groves, right? Something that, and that's an innovative and unique partnership where we address one issue. And I think it's important to address one issue. Pick one and stick to that, because you can't do everything. You can't save the world by yourself or one company. So pick one issue and commit to it. This is open-ended. If we end up at $1 billion and $10 billion or $100 billion, this will go up proportionately.
And I think that approach will make the entity like more focused on that path and
Exactly.
make them branding on that path, and they will be known in that rather than distributed all over.
And
I like that approach.
I think sustainability is non-negotiable in the future, because consumers are choosing brands for their sustainability and environmental, social, and governance impact.
Definitely. Okay, then we'll continue.
In today's world, you can't ignore whether you are into a business or in service industry. Sustainability has to be the core function. It is not about how much money you make or how commercially solid you are. It is also about how you are taking care of the entire ecosystem and what extra you are doing for the society. So larger groups like Apparel and many others, they definitely are the pioneers in terms of, we look at sustainability in terms of fabrics, in terms of the vendors whom we approach, how they are using their products, how they are using the water capacity, etc. Child labor. I mean, there are many things which we take care of. So yeah, that's part of the core values of the business, and we have a separate team which leads to all these audits and checks, and we are proud to be one of the sustainable brand in the UAE.
Beautiful.
For sure.
Done silently,
Mm-hmm.
and which should be done inherently. Otherwise, don't do it. As we say from a strategic perspective,
100%.
because you are really making a difference. Some of them are ripple effect. From internally, from Idea Spice, we realize time is what we can give back. So what we do is we take a lot of pro bono projects every year. So we're working with this village in Bangalore where there are these, we do eye operations for free, of course. So we do their marketing and branding for free. There are these products from a lot of the villages which we work into the packaging for it. There's a bunch of ladies in Bombay who are feeding these children. So we've done their website to get more funding. So we do these things silently.
Beautiful.
And it's more about giving time. The other aspect is teaching, working with students, mentoring. Those are the time aspect. But for a lot of our clients, we also question, even though we do the design for business cards, do you need it? Do you really need a letterhead, or can we go digital? We do a lot of real estate clients. Do you need the brochure, or can the agents work with a PDF? So we question even the simple aspects of paper and where do you source it from in a very subtle way, because some clients don't get it. But it's those little steps we sort of put into place.
Beautiful, beautiful. It's always nice to have a mission behind the work that you do. Well, now with the disruptive technologies that we have, AI, blockchain, and automation they are reshaping industry. So in your own sector, what emerging technologies do you see as key drivers of innovation in your own? We can start.
So I think one of the industries which was going to be hit the hardest is going to be the creative industry. Because now you can make images, logos, social media content, and very early when it came out, we adopted it into our whole model, because I think because of AI, we were very efficient. I think we were done 5x of our efficiency. So we very early started putting language models, building bots, and simplifying things using generative technology. And because we realized that we are strong on strategy and we should use AI as a tool. Also, for a lot of our clients, we are now creating their GPT bots. We are building stuff for them. We are also empowering them. And even for them, for example, we work with real estate clients. We need a lot of content from them real time. So we are also empowering the clients and not actually being scared about it. And I think even from a perspective of a university or a student, you've got to adopt it. and it's not really a threat. And best example I give is, imagine that you hire someone from Harvard and they come to your office, you don't tell them what to do. The brief which they get is the output. So it's really how do you use it, how do you engineer the prompts, how do you get the best output, and how do you keep learning and keeping on a daily basis, things are changing. And it's really about getting more efficient and getting more done. It's a very, very efficient tool, and you've got to sort of embrace it.
I agree with that.
See, the three things which we are looking in shaping the consumer journey, and it is actually live in today's world: AI, AR, and VR. All the three platforms. And I mean, if you look at today's how the consumer is getting changed. Today we have a stores. I mean, in the West, and now we are also moving towards in Dubai and Middle East, where you don't need somebody to greet you at the entrance, and for the billing or to show the consumer what you want. So I remember one of the stores I lately going in Singapore, and I walked inside the store. I mean, there was hardly any staff visible. I went around 11 o'clock in the morning. I picked up a shirt and there was AI mirror. I went in front of it. There were three colors. I chose one color. How will I look in that shirt? I selected two and it showed me where the shirt is kept. I picked up the shirt, went to the cash point. There was no cashier. I went and kept inside, the RFID, the machine, which there. And it showed me the invoice amount. I paid. There was a bag. It asked me, do you need a bag or not? I said yes. It charged the bag and I moved out.
And that's feel well with the new generation. They don't like people talking to them.
Yes.
They know what they want. They get in.
Yes.
They just want to
Yeah.
pay and move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think, this is the world we are going to live in. And this is the world our kids and, the new generation who's going to come in, they wanted to ease up the life rather than going through that hard work. And technology is the great enabler if it is used right, if it is used well. Because with this technology, a lot of questions on security, etc., also comes in. So it also becomes a responsibility of an organization. Like today in banks, you go and they are on your T-pins, on your voice pins, while you can attend a call and you can transfer the money. So it's all about the innovation in technology and how can you be relevant for the future. It's all about relevance and adapting them before the market does. If you have to be ahead.
100%.
So I think for us, it's almost ice and fire. It's a contrarian view on two sides of the scale. One is, I think agentic AI is one of the biggest game changers in financial services, as opposed to just going onto your phone and saying, please send money, put in the beneficiary, this, that, and the other, as opposed to just saying, hey, Siri, or whichever other tool, send 200 dirhams to Hamid, buy 0.1 Bitcoin at a limit price of $90,000, and it executes seamlessly. So I think those agents are a true game changer among many other technologies, but I think that is one game changer. On the other side of the story, though, and the other side of the scale is we invest in human capacity in call center, because I still believe there is a need for human connection. There is a need for contextual understanding and problem solving at a point where it goes beyond preconceived systems. Because by the time someone calls us in a call center, money is at stake. There's a technical issue. Someone is scared, someone is confused, or has a complex question that they cannot answer themselves through all of the various self-service channels that are available. So the threshold for someone to want a human connection is so high that at that point in time, we need to be there with the human being. And I think what COVID has done with all of us, it has further isolated us and emotionally isolated us from other human beings. And I think there is a need for human connection when it comes to complex or high context environments.
You tackle in a very good point, because with the evolving of AI and all the technologies and passing post-COVID, people have that skeptical feeling that we're going to be replaced at the job force. And definitely human touch is something that would never be disposed. It's always needed. And that brings me to my other question. Like, if we think about tomorrow's forced work, like, people who go to work as graduates from universities, we need to think of both. They need both to have technical skills as well as creative problem-solving capabilities. What type of advices do you give us universities to prepare our students to be top-notch, needed for job market? Like, people from your sector would like to say, I would like to come to Ajman graduates. I would love to hire them. What type of advices do you give our university and our students?
I'll start with when people come for mentoring or they're speaking, what are the things to look at? I think I keep speaking about the concept of comfort zone. And I see a lot of students are very comfortable where they are and they float along. And we have a lot of people who come either for internship or jobs that the curiosity seems to already switched off and they're coming in, they're not asking questions, they're not making the best out of it. I think a key aspect from a university and a student's perspective is that I want to keep growing every single day. And there's a lovely quote by Steve Jobs, stay hungry, stay foolish, that till however old you are, you've got to pick up something new. You're meeting somebody, you've got to speak to them like you might pick up a completely different perspective. And it could be anybody, it could be a cleaner, and you learn something about how he's doing.
100%.
So I think that curiosity and having that mind to constantly push yourself. Empathy is something which I've seen people tend to lose, and more they're into themselves for their gadgets. That how do you strike a conversation? How do you resolve a conflict? How do you realize that there's always never right and wrong? Sometimes there's two perspectives. And that's going to be so important as you deal with colleagues, your bosses, or you're going to be dealing with teams. People skills is, I think, very, very critical. And in today's world, just reading skills people seem to lose. That how do you pick up on different ways of thinking? What are the technologies coming out? How do you adopt it? It's not just the AI tech, it's how do you correlate and go interdisciplinary? How do you learn from multiple stuff? And I think internships also, it's very important, for example, to also do things like working in a restaurant and learning dignity of labor and seeing from a customer's perspective. And not just going for the big jobs or the big names, and also not deciding very early what you want. I think a lot of students pre-decide, but as you keep moving, things change. So being very open, I think flowing like water is what I sort of advise.
Thank you.
See, I believe in today's world, exposure is one which is very, very relevant. I have a 19-year-old and we were just discussing about her studies. Today, if you have to even do a assignment of a college, there is a AI chatbot which is available in helping you doing that. Is that good? Yes, maybe for the speed and the relevance, but it is also stopping your own creativity. So I believe more kind of exposure, more kind of hands-on learning, more kind of experiential learning, which should help today's colleges students. Yes, there is a technology which should be enabler to me, which should help me in getting the guidance, but how practical I am using it, how exposed I am to the real world. Because a lot of, let me tell you also, there is this, that a lot of strategies fail in the, when they get executed, which were discussed very bright in the boardrooms. So it is not about what do we do, it is about how do we do.
True.
So I think that's where the keys and how do we do lies in exposure and doing it and learning from it and failing from it. It's okay. Yes. So that's what the advice is, that do more, learn more. It's okay to fail and be a real world.
100%.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, a lot has been said already. I think the ability to learn, unlearn, and relearn, that mental flexibility and that agility, which is really what academia is about, right? You're not learning a subject by heart, you learn how to learn, right? And you learn how to explore. And I think one other thing that you touched upon is very, very important. I think this is not something that the universities can do themselves, but something that universities can encourage and advocate for, is the ability for students to work, to earn their keep during university. And it's not about earning money. It's about staying scrappy. It's about the ability to find, to fend for yourself, to find solutions to problems, right? To everyday problems. I think if you're not exposed to the real world, quote unquote, early on, then it's going to be very hard for you to pick this up once you start at 24, 25, 26, get into your first jobs or your first companies.
Thank you. So it seems from your answers, all of you, you are tend toward like giving advices to university to expose students to the outside world, to be able to learn and adapt to things and the growing interest of the business sector. So in your opinion, like what's your business, from your own perspective, can offer Ajman University students? We talk about internship. I would love to hear from each one of you about strategies you could propose. If it's already in hand available, that will be fine. Or something you can, after the tour and after knowing more about the university and learning more about it, what type of strategies, from your own perspective, you can offer to Ajman University students as they progress to learn about outside world, and would that be something available for them?
A few things I can think top of my mind. One is, when you get outside speakers, I've seen in most universities, people come and speak about how good they're doing. And the hard work the students don't see. I personally don't think it's very inspiring to see that. And if we can gear people to speak from failure, and as Jatin also pointed out, that a big part of the culture, I think the Indian culture, the Arab culture, there is a big fear of failure. Whereas when you go to the US and you overhear conversations, the first thing they ask is, what did you learn? What are you doing next? They don't miss a beat.
Sure.
And I think if you can get more industry people to come and speak about what is their failure. And for example, I go to IIM Ahmedabad and a lot of places, and I've got this presentation which is every single mistake I've made and what you can learn and not make these mistakes as you go along. And it's done in a fun way. So that's something which immediately you can come, offer, work on. I think you should get almost, call it the school of hard knocks, for example, and just get different people. They could be senior management, they could be entrepreneurs, small, big, and it's very varied, and probably do it like a podcast where it gets access to multiple students from that perspective. One. Second, we were discussing along the way about creating local case studies. And the beauty of Harvard does it, and does a lot of universities, where you have a case study, and in a case study you give all the facts, and there's no right or wrong, and there's a deep discussion which the students do, facilitated by the academic person, and sometimes you get the external person who the case study was about, and he gives a conclusion of what he did. So that really gets them to real world problems, gets the debate, and some of them also grey areas, right? Because there is no right and wrong in business or in work.
It's a learning
process. It's a learning process. And some of these case studies should also be on just pure decision making skills. So I think that's another one which should be done. And I also feel within the university to also do cross interdisciplinary workshops on something out of the box, but working in really tight timelines. So I think students have to learn about how do you work under pressure, under timelines with different departments, and that I think electives which are on a topic, and you get a guide from outside, and they're given probably just 2 days, and together from different departments, so you get different perspectives. That's another idea which I would think of.
Okay.
See, I definitely believe Ajman University is one of its kind. When I have whatever happened to a small tour, and credit goes to all of you, for maintaining it and taking it further ahead. I believe what advice you asked me, I'm sure we are doing a lot of good work in the university, but it is about, I think the right strategy is not in doing things, rather not to do things. That is where the strategy piece builds on. That this is not what we want to do, which is relevant for my brand, or for my university, or for my students, or for my professors, or for my admin colleagues, etc. I'm sure you have charted out that plan. That is why we are at this stage where we are. In terms of Apparel Group, if you ask, our chairwoman, she's at the board of the two colleges, two reputed colleges in UK, and we do a lot of internship and hiring programs from American University, Sharjah University, Knowledge Village. Surely we can definitely, whenever we do our next interns, or now we are being associated, Ajman University would be one, and we have a dedicated team which is being led by one of our Emirati HR, and she takes care of all this hirings because, like I said, we wanted to make sure we grow along with the beautiful country where we are in, and whatever we could do our bit. So if you talk today, we have huge amount of nationals who work around along with us. They are college students, they are housewives, they are everywhere, wherever they are involved, and we do every bit as an apparel group to make sure we do our due diligence and responsibility towards how we are. So definitely, once we move forward, there are open we are open to explore the ideas.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think one thing that most of the top universities across the world do best is commercialization of early stage entrepreneurial ventures, right? Bridging that gap between academia and startups that come out of universities to build a bridge for commercialization, POCs into companies, etc., etc. Yeah, because that feeds the early stage venture funnel into more successful and bigger startups later on. So I think, and that is something that has started in the country that I started seeing, but that is something that universities can foster.
I totally agree, and I can tell from your answers, basically, all those learning capabilities for the students from technical didactic would definitely be given through courses, lectures they get in the university, but adding more to it, things beyond, which has to deal with soft skills, leadership, and nowadays universities include, mainly like including our university, we focus a lot about extracurricular activities and things that can nourish those skills to the students and make them definitely look different when they go to the job market, not just knowing the science, they also have the softer skills of communicating, understanding the issues, be able to go beyond the box and answer questions and be attractive to a job market to be hired. If there is like a piece of advice you would like to give to students, regardless of their background, something that you would think if you were at school you wish you did before, or you wish somebody told you about it, that makes you or help you move forward with your job hunting. Because as you are in school, things are more about job hunting and to be successful later on. To be able to ride that ladder, you need to be in that, ride the ladder first, have the first step, and then move on. So what piece of advice you would give to students as they are in college to make them be successful and shine as they graduate?
Actually, something which helped me, I tell my also, is when I left college and I felt there was a bunch of gaps which I had. I wanted to be an entrepreneur, where I felt that entrepreneurship was not there. The age-old practice people have is something called apprenticeship, not an internship, where you go and work with a master and learn everything about it. So there was an entrepreneur who I really looked up to, and I remember reaching out to him and said, I want to learn entrepreneurship. So I'll take whatever time it takes. And it was not even, it was even related to my industry. I learned design, and it was a packaging company. And I did 4 years, and it was probably one of the toughest 4 years. It was like a proper base camp. He made me work with the labor, go to the factory, run the machines. He would give me boxes, send me to the streets to break my ego on sales. He'd make me travel undeserved for 2 days in a train. Then he sent me to business school.
So he grinded you.
He grinded me, and I would say that was the best foundation for my whole life. I think as students, a lot of them I see who apply, they apply for jobs just because they want an increased salary. And you see their CVs every 1 year, 2 years, they jump, and we see the CV and we put it aside saying it's not a good fit. And I think the whole aspect of knowing a clarity of vision, that where do I want to be in 5 or 10 years, and it may not be exact, but I know that I'm working towards something. And I think this reason I've seen a lot of kids don't have a concept called delayed gratification, which is also part of parenting, where you want something that's given instantly. And delayed gratification is you work towards it and you will get to it. And I think the biggest advice would be to have clarity and do whatever it takes along the way and don't look for the shortcuts.
No shortcuts. Got it.
So I come from a sales and business background. So if you ask me, Not only for students, actually it's today, valid for me and for everyone. It is that stay hungry and stay relevant. I think that's what the key piece is, because the kind of technology and the kind of world we are in, you wake up next day and the world has switched to another means, and you really need to adapt. So if you ask me, you have to stay hungry and you have to stay relevant, irrespective whether you are student, you are entrepreneur, you're an employee, you're a doctor, whoever you are. If even if you're a doctor and you were past or you're practicing since last 20 years, like we saw, AI is today doing the dental surgery, and if that will help me in clearing my time and my cost and my money, I would not like to go to a surgeon which will take, call me after 5 G sittings and do my root canal, which we were learning along with in your facility. So it was just like, do it now, 30 minutes, you are in and out. So it's about being relevant and being hungry.
Relevant, that's a good point.
I'm going to offer a slightly contrarian view again.
Bankers usually tend to do that,
Who of us in the room wish they could go back in time to the time when they were students and enjoy that time more? Me included. So I think my advice to students today
we'll go back
would be
without the exams, though.
enjoy this time, right? This is your time to be free. This is your time to live. This is your time to explore, right? This is your time to find your footing in life, right? This is not the time to worry about careers and families and jobs and responsibilities that will come by itself. Yeah. That if I were going back to the time where I was 18, this is what I would tell my 18-year-old self. You don't know at 20 what you're going to be doing with 30 or 40, or very few people do. So that would be my advice to students today.
All right, very good advice. Okay, now I'm not going to take it long with you guys, so we can have a lot of time for people to ask questions, but this is my last questions. The United Arab Emirates is positioning itself as a hub for innovation and creativity. What unique opportunities do you see for the region to become a global leader in this aspect?
I think we've seen the transformation. In fact, we had the opportunity of working with the government to do the rebranding for Dubai. And the whole positioning at the time was to move it first away from oil to tourism. And now it's from tourism to knowledge.
True.
And what we are seeing that the speed at which we are adapting AI, I don't think any part of the world is doing. And if you look at, like this was with G42, they've actually playing a very pivotal role in what's happening worldwide, Abu Dhabi. So I think this space is very conducive for big ideas and very supportive. So I'm actually working on something new in AI, and I'm going back to being a startup. But the government is helping with the incubation, giving an office as a subsidy, whatever is required for it, because they want stories and they want this region to come out. And if you look at even funding, everybody from around the world is looking at Saudi and UAE as a funding thing for concepts around the world. I think we're at this time when it's a time when people are looking for the biggest ideas, and there's not a better time to be in this region. And the leadership is completely looking at becoming a catalyst for high growth. So it's a lovely time and wonderful.
So there are so many steps the government is taking, and I can assure you, like coming from US since September, I don't use credit cards anymore, and I don't do phone calls. Everything is digitalized, and it's just on the apps. And if you, God forbid, if you lose your phone, it's gone. Everything is here. So it's taking a lot of steps way beyond, and this is very true. Yeah.
So I think I'll go back to again the statement which is in my mind. If I look at today the country, where it was 30 years back, where it is today 30 years from now, and next 30 years, they are only hungry and they are relevant. So
yeah, taking your recipe.
Yes.
The recipe is there.
So in UAE today, I mean, what they were and what they have covered, it's all about their vision of the leadership. They don't want to be number two. They want to be number one. They want to be number one in every aspect. I mean, look in today's world, they have 8 lanes highways, metros running in, public transport at a great speed. Still, they are coming with flying taxis. Still, they are coming with monorails. Still, they are building, hotels and in the islands in the water.
Yeah.
Soon, you will be having a monorail which will be coming in and hyperloops.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like I said, it's all about relevance. So they don't want to be number two, and that is what we need to learn where we are. Even if we adapt to 10% of their vision in our workspaces, in our culture, in our day to day, I mean, we would be living altogether a different world altogether. And on top of it, safety is one which I would love to suppress. I feel more safe in UAE than my own country. I'll be very honest. So, with all due respect, but yes, that's what, that is what how the vision is towards, again, considering about people and how they can make them to next level. Hats off to leadership.
Yeah, I like your feedback. And in fact, talking about safe country, it's funny because this morning before I left to work, my kids were telling me, "Mom, don't lock the door. When we come back from school, it is a hassle to get our keys and open the door. Just close it, don't lock it." So
I haven't closed my apartment door or car in 15 years. But I think from every... Sorry? I think apart from everything what was said, and everything is true, I think there was a paradigm shift over the past couple of years in the UAE, specifically from the finance and technology perspective, from global brands and global technology companies and finance companies coming into the country, into the region to do business here. What has shifted is that these companies are being now created here, right? The startup and venture ecosystem has reached a critical mass. In fact, I think there was an article a couple of weeks ago where Dubai is now named as one of the top 5 fintech centers around the world, right? So these companies are now being created here rather than being imported from elsewhere. And I think that is the major paradigm shift where this becomes a knowledge, truly a knowledge economy. The gap that we're still seeing is the depth of risk capital and risk capital allocation. One of the things, while the US has been, until recently at least, so successful in building up global technology companies, is because their ability to allocate risk capital, right? And the depth of that market is still shallow in the region and in the UAE. It's growing, but it has to grow at a much, much faster pace in order to support the innovation that is coming out of the region and out of the country already.
thank you so much. This is a very good insight. And in fact, for the audience, Chris is coming from Ruya Bank, which is headquartered in Ajman. So it's a pride for us to know about innovative banking headquartered from Ajman and known worldwide, and having paved the way for the digital Islamic banking as well as doing the digital currency. So it's really a pride. Before I open the session for questions from the audience, I would love to thank you so much for all your insight. And I love the way of thinking, because it doesn't matter what's your background as a student, whether you're coming from a healthcare background or from a business background or from an engineering background, the way of thinking for innovation, the way of tackling issues, the way of thinking of how to sell myself to employers, how to sell myself to be able to go up the ladder, how to create my own business and be an entrepreneur. Regardless of your background, those way of thinking will definitely shape those students and help them move forward with this. So really appreciate all your insight.
Thank you for the homework and the questions you asked.
Thank you so much, really appreciate it. So now we're going to open the session for questions, and would love to hear from the floor. Anybody who had any question? Dr. Abdul Haq.
Thank you very much for the discussion, and I want to go back to what your institutions can offer to Ajman University. It would be good, I think, part of your CSR, if you can think of offering scholarships that bear the name of your institutions to some of our bright or needy students. Currently, we have so many endowed scholarships that bear the name of an institution, a group, or bank, and many students are benefiting from these scholarships. I think Ahmed maybe can coordinate with you if you are willing to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Sure.
Anybody, Dr. Faris, have a question?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Abeer, for your time, and thanks our panelists for an informative and enjoyable session. Since we are in an academic setting, I have a fundamental question. Leaderships means different things for different people sometimes, right? Some they define it as leading by example. Some they like to lead by example again. Some mission-oriented. And also some, they do above and beyond, do extraordinary thing with ordinary financial and human resources. In your opinion, which one is closer to innovation and creativity? Which school of thought?
I think I don't think there's a direct answer to that, because innovation can be led, and a lot of it comes from a personality-driven space. Since I'm in an innovation company, I know, because where I worked first, it was led by Fear. The person I worked under for my mentorship, it was a company which was very top-down, and that was a manufacturing thing, and it probably worked. But when you do the same thing in an innovation-led company, it doesn't work. And it's really got to be about people feeling empowered. It's got to be an environment where people are happy, because innovation comes from that. It's got to be a place where you're constantly pushed from a comfort zone. It's got to be conversation, strong teamwork. You've got to get transparency, remove politics. So it's a set of a lot of these parameters. But I think a good leader not just leads by example, but there's also a concept called servant leadership, where you are doing things for a cause, and the cause is bigger or the purpose is bigger. And I've seen that people do 10x of what they're doing when they're joining for a purpose. Then it's not led by salary. You're joining for something which is far bigger than you. If you can create an environment where it's led with a bigger purpose, I've seen a lot more things happen.
I think that's a brilliant question, firstly, about leadership. If you are a leader, you're leading a group of people. They have certain expectations from you. I believe when you are into innovative or any stage, it is not about achieving yourself, but how your team achieves and you grow together. So leadership is always about making sure what I am doing is also relevant and I am growing along with my team. Because it's often, all of us are professionals here, and all of us have changed jobs and moved around. We don't leave organizations, we leave the leaders. Or there are also reasons why we stay in the job, because of the leader which you are in, the leader you are associated to, or how well is he empathizing to with you, taking care of you, making sure your learning curve never ends. So I think it's all about helping your team in achieving their goals. That's about leadership is. And like I said, what a beautiful country we are in, where the leader himself is leading for its people. So I think yes, that's what example is. It's always in my mind on the leadership. Yeah.
In my view, one of the key responsibilities of a leader in whatever shape or form is to align people around a common vision and purpose. Like, why are we doing this? What are we doing this for? And if everybody thinks along those same lines and is aligned to that vision, people will then find their ways to contribute to that common vision. Okay? And I think that's like, out of hundreds of responsibilities, this is one of the purpose or the key purpose of a leader, to define that common vision and align people around it.
Beautiful. Any further questions from the audience? Well, let's thank our panelists. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Thanks so much.